Beneath the Giza Plateau lies a hidden world, an intricate network of tunnels, chambers, and shafts that has remained concealed for millennia. While much of this world remains a mystery, discoveries made over the years hint at something far more complex than a mere burial site. In fact, new findings in 2025 claim the existence of a hidden city, more than 2,000 feet below the surface, beneath the pyramids of Giza. These claims, some validated and others still controversial, have sparked intense debates. But they also suggest one undeniable fact: the Giza Plateau is anything but solid ground. It is a place rich in secrets that are just now beginning to be revealed. The Giza Plateau, Egypt, a site that draws millions of visitors every year, is home to some of the most iconic structures in human history: the Great Pyramid of Khufu, the Pyramid of Khafra, the smaller Pyramid of Menkaure, and of course, the Great Sphinx. These monuments, built over 500 years ago, stand as symbols of Egypt's grandeur. Tourists often marvel at their size, and guides recount the same familiar facts, while Egyptologists and archaeologists continue to ponder deeper mysteries hidden beneath the surface. What most tourists don't know is that beneath these monumental structures lies an entirely different world, one that modern technology is only now beginning to uncover. Ancient texts and historical accounts have hinted at the existence of underground chambers, tunnels, and voids beneath the pyramids. These were dismissed as mere legend by scholars for centuries. But as modern technology advances, some of these so-called myths are beginning to hold true. One of the most significant revelations came on March 22nd, Liantianling Arshawu, when an Italian research team announced they had discovered enormous underground structures beneath the Pyramid of Khafra. Using satellite-based synthetic aperture radar (SAR) and artificial intelligence, the researchers revealed what they claimed to be 8 massive cylindrical shafts that descend deep into the earth. Surrounded by spiral pathways, this network extends more than 2,000 feet below the surface and is believed to be the remnants of a hidden city. The scientific community was divided. Some hailed it as the discovery of the century, while others, including Egyptologists and radar experts, questioned the validity of the claim, suggesting that it was improbable for technology to penetrate so deep through solid rock. This is not the first time such claims have been made, but the debate continues to rage. What we know for sure is that beneath the Giza Plateau, something extraordinary lies waiting to be uncovered. One thing is certain: the Great Pyramid of Khufu is not just a massive pile of limestone blocks. It contains intricate chambers, passages, and shafts that stretch through its interior like veins through the body. The most famous of these is the subterranean chamber, located 27 meters below the base of the pyramid, carved directly into the bedrock. This chamber, measuring approximately 14 meters by 8 meters, has long intrigued researchers, unlike the King's Chamber, which is filled with a granite sarcophagus. The floor of the subterranean chamber is unfinished, and its surface is carved into unusual shapes. It is not simply an abandoned space, but one filled with enigmatic features. 2 mounds rise from the bedrock, separated by a trench, while a deep pit has been carved into the eastern section. A narrow passage extends south from the chamber wall, leading to a blank wall. The story of the subterranean chamber has puzzled historians for generations. Ancient Greek historian Herodotus, writing around 500 BC, described Pharaoh Khufu's burial as being on an island surrounded by water, deep beneath the pyramid. For centuries, this account was dismissed as myth. But now, the unusual features of the subterranean chamber make some researchers question whether Herodotus's description may have contained a kernel of truth. Some argue that the chamber's design could symbolize the Nile River, the source of life for ancient Egypt, carved in stone beneath the pyramid as a metaphor for eternal life. In 2016, A breakthrough discovery further deepened the mystery of the Great Pyramid. A team of international researchers known as scan pyramids used muon tomography to detect cosmic ray particles passing through solid structures. This technique revealed a massive void, located approximately 30 meters above the Grand Gallery of the Great Pyramid. This void, dubbed the Big Void, was not a small or insignificant finding. It was a vast, empty space, potentially the largest discovery inside the pyramid in modern times. The implications of this find remain uncertain, but it opens up new possibilities for what might lie within the pyramid's walls. Despite all these discoveries, the mysteries of the Giza Plateau remain far from solved. The pyramid's internal architecture, designed with stunning complexity by its ancient builders, contains many more secrets. The Queen's Chamber, the Grand Gallery, the King's Chamber, and the so-called air shafts all contribute to an intricate puzzle that continues to perplex archaeologists. Some believe these chambers may hold additional surprises, potentially offering new insights into the purpose of the pyramids and the rituals associated with them. What lies beneath the pyramids of Giza is not just a series of chambers and tunnels. It is a world of hidden meanings, ancient engineering feats, and mysteries that have long been buried by time and sand. As technology continues to advance, we may soon uncover even more secrets about these ancient monuments. What we know for certain is that Giza's subterranean world is far from being fully explored. It is a world that has waited millennia to be revealed, and the journey of discovery is just beginning. Beneath the pyramids of Giza lies a hidden world, a labyrinth of tunnels, chambers, and mysterious structures that have remained concealed for millennia. While the surface reveals iconic monuments that have fascinated people for thousands of years, a much deeper mystery waits underground. The recent claims of a hidden city discovered over 2,000 feet below the surface are just the latest in a series of startling discoveries that suggest the Giza Plateau is riddled with secrets. These claims are not universally accepted, and some are met with skepticism. Yet one thing is clear: the ground beneath the pyramids is far from solid. It's a world of ancient passages and untold stories that we are only beginning to uncover. The Giza Plateau, home to the Great Pyramid of Khufu, the Pyramid of Khafra, the smaller Pyramid of Menkaure, and the Sphinx, stands as a testament to Egypt's ancient grandeur. Tourists from around the world flock to these structures, marveling at their size and historic significance. Yet, what most visitors don't know is that beneath these towering monuments lies an entirely different world, a world that ancient texts have long described. Yet scholars have only recently begun to believe. In 2025, a team of Italian researchers made headlines with an extraordinary claim. Using advanced satellite radar technology combined with artificial intelligence, they detected massive underground structures beneath the Khafra pyramid structures that include 8 enormous cylindrical shafts, surrounded by spiral pathways, extending over 2,000 feet below the surface. Some scientists hailed this as a groundbreaking discovery, while others dismissed it, suggesting that it was impossible for technology to penetrate that deeply into solid rock. Regardless, the debate highlights a fascinating reality beneath the Giza Plateau. Something extraordinary is waiting to be uncovered. What we know for certain is that the Great Pyramid of Khufu is far more than a giant pile of limestone blocks. It is a monumental feat of ancient engineering, filled with intricate chambers, shafts, and passages that run through its core. The most mysterious of these is the subterranean chamber, located about 27 meters below the base of the pyramid. This chamber, carved directly into the bedrock, is roughly 14 by 8 meters in size. Its floor, which is unfinished, contains strange, deliberate carvings, 2 mounds separated by a trench, a deep pit in the eastern section, and a narrow passage that leads to a blank wall. For years, archaeologists have suggested that this chamber was intended as Khufu's burial place, but was abandoned in favor of the king's chamber higher up within the pyramid. However, Herodotus, the ancient Greek historian, described something else entirely: Khufu's burial being on an island surrounded by water, deep beneath the pyramid. For centuries, scholars dismissed this as mere legend, but modern researchers have begun to reconsider. Could it be that Herodotus's account was based on a kernel of truth? Could the subterranean chamber have been designed to represent the Nile, symbolizing life beneath the monument to eternal death? This theory remains one of many that continue to fuel the mystery, adding to the intrigue. In 2016, the Scan Pyramids project revealed an astonishing discovery using muon tomography. They uncovered a massive void above the Grand Gallery, approximately 30 meters long. This big void remains unexplained, further compounding the mystery of the Great Pyramid. Was it simply an unintentional construction gap, or could it serve some other purpose, perhaps linked to Khufu's burial or an undiscovered ritual space? But the mysteries of Giza extend beyond the Great Pyramid. Just a few hundred meters southwest of the pyramids, beneath an unassuming spot on the pavement, lies another remarkable secret. This is the Osiris Shaft, a vertical tunnel that descends through 3 distinct levels, each more puzzling than the last. Known to antiquity, the shaft had long been filled with water, making full exploration impossible. In 1999, Zahi Hawass and his team managed to pump out the water and explore what lay at the bottom. What they found was astonishing: a rectangular stone platform surrounded by water on all sides, resembling an island in the darkness, with a large granite sarcophagus. This discovery matched an ancient description by Herodotus, who wrote of a sarcophagus on an island. However, the origins and purpose of the Osiris Shaft remain unclear. The artifacts found in the shaft date to around 500 BC, nearly 2,000 years after Khufu's time. Yet the construction methods used in the shaft suggest far greater antiquity, possibly dating back to the Old Kingdom. Some believe it may have been added later, during a period when the cult of Osiris was prominent, possibly as a symbolic tomb for the god of the underworld. But other questions persist. Was the shaft created during the same period as the pyramids? Were there earlier chambers deeper within, now lost to time and groundwater? The answers remain elusive, as access to the site is restricted, and recent years have seen water levels rise once again, reclaiming parts of the shaft. In 2024, another breakthrough came from a team of Japanese and Egyptian researchers using ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography. They surveyed the Western Cemetery near the Great Pyramid, a burial ground that had been largely left unexplored. The scans revealed an unexpected L-shaped structure buried 2 meters below the surface, with a deeper anomaly beneath it. This structure, which appeared to have been deliberately filled with sand after construction, has left archaeologists wondering what lies beneath it. The Egyptian authorities have yet to approve excavation in this area, but the discovery has sparked further speculation about hidden chambers and structures beneath the plateau. Throughout the centuries, mainstream Egyptologists have maintained that the pyramids were simple tombs, constructed solely for the purpose of burying Egypt's pharaohs. But the anomalies continue to challenge this narrative. The big void inside the Great Pyramid, the Osiris Shaft with its island sarcophagus, the unfinished subterranean chamber, and the mysterious L-shaped structure. Each of these discoveries raises more questions than answers. Ancient accounts from Herodotus, Strabo, and even later medieval Islamic legends describe underground tunnels and hidden chambers connecting the pyramids. Some even suggest the existence of a hall of records beneath the Sphinx, containing the wisdom of Atlantis. In this age of sensational headlines and viral discoveries, separating fact from fiction has become increasingly difficult. But one thing is certain: beneath the surface of the Giza Plateau, something extraordinary lies hidden. The area is riddled with natural fissures, ancient quarries, and man-made excavations, with a water table that remains just 20 to 30 meters below the surface. feeding underground aquifers that have never been fully mapped. The ancient builders of the pyramids achieved feats of engineering that still defy complete explanation. And despite over 2 centuries of archaeological research, new discoveries continue to emerge. What lies beneath the pyramids, perhaps one day? As technologies advance and excavations continue, we will finally uncover the full extent of Giza's hidden world. Until then, the plateau will remain a place of mystery, its secrets waiting patiently beneath the sands of time. Deep beneath the Great Pyramid of Khufu, carved into the solid bedrock of the Giza Plateau, lies an unfinished chamber that has perplexed researchers for nearly 2 centuries. To reach it, one must navigate a narrow passage that slopes down at a 26 degrees angle, its walls closing in as the air grows heavier. The further you descend, the more the shadows deepen, created by the harsh electric lights that illuminate the rough limestone. After about 100 meters, the passage levels out, leading into darkness. This is the subterranean chamber, a place that has baffled historians and archaeologists for generations. In 1817, the Italian explorer Giovanni Caviglia, driven by an obsession with the pyramids, became the first modern figure to document this hidden space. He cleared away centuries of rubble that had sealed off the entrance to the descending passage, finally revealing the chamber below. What he found, however, was not a treasure-filled tomb, but a rough-hewn cave, seemingly unfinished and abandoned midway through construction. The chamber measures roughly 14 meters by 8 meters, with a flat ceiling marked by ancient tool marks. But the floor is far stranger. Instead of the usual mess one might expect from an abandoned project, the floor appears deliberately crafted. It resembles the surface of a frozen sea, with mounds of uncut stone and deep trenches, one of which drops into an abyss filled with rubble. The traditional explanation for this unfinished chamber is that Pharaoh Khufu originally intended to be buried deep within the bedrock beneath his pyramid. A precaution against tomb robbers, workers began carving out the chamber. But for reasons unknown whether the pharaoh changed his mind, the architects developed a better design. Or there were concerns about stability, construction was halted, the workers shifted their focus to the chambers higher up within the pyramid, where the king was ultimately buried. This simple explanation fits the available evidence. But there are issues. The first problem lies in the floor's strange design. If the chamber was abandoned due to a change in plans, one would expect to find a chaotic scene: scattered tools, piles of rubble, and signs of hasty departure. Instead, the chamber's floor is intentionally crafted, with symmetrical mounds and a trench that cuts in a deliberate pattern. Some researchers have proposed that the layout mirrors the geography of Egypt, with the 2 mounds representing the eastern and western banks of the Nile and the trench symbolizing the river itself. This theory suggests that the chamber was not an abandoned burial site, but rather a symbolic space designed to reflect the Nile River, the lifeblood of Egyptian civilization. Beneath the monumental pyramid, the idea is that this chamber might have served as a ritual space, a representation of the land of the living beneath the monument to eternal death. While this hypothesis is controversial, it gains unexpected support from the writings of Herodotus. The Greek historian Herodotus, who visited Egypt around 450 BC, was shown the pyramids by local guides, who told him that Khufu was not buried inside the pyramid, but rather in a chamber beneath it, surrounded by water. The water, according to these stories, was connected to the Nile via underground channels, and the pharaoh's burial site was modeled after the kingdom that stretched along the river. For centuries, scholars dismissed this account as hearsay. Herodotus himself admitted that he had not seen the chamber and was relying on second-hand accounts from Egyptian priests who refused to let him descend into the pyramid's depths. But looking at the subterranean chamber's layout, the 2 mounds, the trench, and a pit that once may have held water, some researchers now believe that Herodotus might have been describing a real structure. What if the chamber was designed to represent the symbolic river of life, just as Herodotus claimed? In addition to these features, a passage extends southward from the chamber, running approximately 16 meters straight into the bedrock before abruptly ending at a blank wall. Why was this passage cut? Was it intended to lead to another chamber? Perhaps a storage room or even a secondary burial site? The most common theory is that the workers simply abandoned it, but some have speculated that this wall might conceal something yet to be discovered. What if there is something beyond that barrier? Something hidden for thousands of years? The mysteries of the subterranean chamber do not end with these questions. The very design of the passage and the layout of the chamber hint at a purpose far more complex than a mere burial site. Could it have served a symbolic or ritual function that was lost to time? Could it represent the eternal journey of the pharaoh's soul, moving through realms of life and death? Or even an attempt to recreate the physical and spiritual connection between Egypt's land and its river? The debate surrounding the subterranean chamber is just the beginning. There are many more secrets beneath the pyramids, each waiting to be uncovered. As new technology continues to push the boundaries of archaeology, who knows what lies hidden in the dark chambers and tunnels beneath the Giza Plateau? For now, we are left with a tantalizing mystery, one that has captivated the world for centuries. The story of what lies beneath the pyramids is far from over, and the journey to uncover it continues. In 1992, a German robotics engineer named Rudolf Gantenbrink conducted an extraordinary exploration beneath the Great Pyramid of Khufu, using a small robot named Up. He ventured into one of the narrow shafts extending from the Queen's Chamber. The robot traveled nearly 65 meters before encountering a small limestone door, complete with 2 copper handles. The discovery made headlines. What lay behind the door? The speculation began a hidden chamber, treasure, or perhaps the final resting place of Pharaoh Khufu himself. Subsequent expeditions drilled through the door, uncovering another chamber. But beyond that, they encountered yet another stone block. The mystery only deepened. Initially believed to be simple ventilation shafts, the purpose of these narrow tunnels appeared far more complex. But what was it truly for? Could there be a sealed door or hidden chamber beyond the blank wall at the end of the subterranean passage? Could there be a continuation of this tunnel system never explored before? Unfortunately, the Egyptian authorities have yet to authorize any drilling, and the chamber has not been subjected to ground-penetrating radar capable of providing a clear answer. Nearby, there lies a pit in the subterranean chamber, roughly 4 meters deep, filled with rubble from decades of exploration. In the 1,830 seconds, Colonel Howard Vyse, a British Army officer obsessed with uncovering the pyramid's secrets, attempted to clear the pit, expecting to find something of importance. However, his team encountered groundwater and abandoned the effort. Some historical accounts suggest that the pit was not fully excavated, hinting at the possibility of further depths, potentially leading to a passageway connected to the aquifer beneath the plateau. If this were true, it would open up even more possibilities for what lies beneath the Giza Plateau. Theories abound regarding the chamber's purpose, and speculation runs wild. Could underground rivers or labyrinths be hidden there? Could the rubble conceal treasure, lost knowledge, or something beyond our understanding? While these ideas are intriguing, what we do know for certain is that the subterranean chamber exists, and it has been accessible since 1817. Though archaeological work has yet to provide definitive answers, mainstream Egyptology suggests the chamber was abandoned mid-construction, with the passage sealed off and the pit left unexplored because there was simply nothing to find. However, this conventional explanation is complicated by 2 major factors: the discovery of the Osiris shaft and advancements in archaeological imaging technology. The Osiris shaft, located not far from the Great Pyramid, presents a significant mystery of its own. This vertical tunnel leads to a chamber containing an island surrounded by water and an enormous granite sarcophagus. First explored in the 1,830 seconds, it remained largely unexplored due to flooding from the Giza Plateau's water table. The site was only fully excavated in 1999, after modern pumping technology allowed researchers to reach the lower levels. What they found was remarkable. The Osiris shaft descends through 3 distinct levels. The first, about 10 meters below the surface, contains 6 carved niches and human remains dating to around 500 BC, almost 2,000 years after the pyramids were built. The second level, about 20 meters deep, features a larger chamber with massive granite sarcophagi. Though they were found empty, both levels are filled with evidence suggesting the area was used long after the original construction of the pyramids. This discovery lent credibility to Herodotus's ancient accounts, as he had written about underground chambers and water-filled burials at Giza, which were long dismissed as myth. But the true mystery lies in the depth of what's still unexplored. What other chambers or structures remain hidden beneath the plateau? Ground-penetrating radar, muon, tomography, and satellite-based synthetic aperture radar are now revealing areas previously invisible, such as the big void discovered in 2016 inside the Great Pyramid. As technology continues to advance, more discoveries may be waiting just beneath the surface. The subterranean chamber beneath Khufu's pyramid remains largely unexplored. Its purpose still unknown. The passage remains unexcavated beyond its visible end, and the pit remains partially filled with debris. The water table, fluctuating with the seasons, continues to rise and fall, just as the Nile did during the pyramid's construction. Could the water conceal a deeper secret? What would we uncover if we could dig deeper past the rubble, past the groundwater, into the bedrock itself? As these questions remain unanswered, the Egyptian government's policies and the availability of research funding will continue to dictate the pace of discovery. The subterranean chamber has waited for over 500 years, and it can afford to wait longer. The secrets within it remain locked in the darkness, waiting for the right technology, the right approach, and the right moment to reveal themselves. Just to the south, a short walk from the Great Pyramid, lies another mystery, the Osiris shaft. Hidden beneath a metal grate, the shaft leads down into a strange, almost mythical structure. This vertical tunnel descends 30 meters into the earth and opens up to an island surrounded by water, a feature that has baffled archaeologists for centuries. Early European explorers and Arab historians referenced it, but only modern technology has allowed for a complete excavation. What lies beneath the Giza Plateau? Could it be that the mysteries of the Osiris shaft are only the beginning? Could the answer lie within the chambers and tunnels that await? Buried beneath the sands of time, only time, and perhaps new technologies, will tell. The second level of the Osiris shaft is undeniably significant. It's clear that the effort invested in carving heavy stone coffins and transporting bodies down a narrow vertical shaft was not a mere afterthought. But the shaft continues its descent, and at approximately 30 meters below the surface, the story shifts from intriguing to extraordinary. The excavators, working tirelessly, had to pump out water that had accumulated for millennia. Despite the constant rise of the water, fed by the underlying aquifer, they persisted and eventually succeeded. What they discovered was unlike anything else on the Giza Plateau. The third level is a rectangular chamber, measuring roughly 9 meters by 9 meters, carved into solid bedrock. In the center of the chamber rises a stone platform, also hewn from the bedrock, leaving a channel of water surrounding it on all sides, creating an island. At the center of this island sits a massive granite sarcophagus, weighing between 10 and 15 tons, empty but perfectly intact. This discovery mirrors the description made by Herodotus more than 500 years ago. Herodotus had written that Pharaoh Khufu was buried in a chamber beneath the pyramid, on an island surrounded by water brought through underground channels from the Nile. For centuries, scholars dismissed this as legend, but here it was, an underground island with a sarcophagus at its center. just as Herodotus had described. It's important to note that the Osiris shaft isn't directly beneath the Great Pyramid. It lies near the causeway of the Pyramid of Khafra, several hundred meters away from Khufu's monument. The sarcophagus here is not that of Khufu, and the chamber seems to date to the late period of Egyptian history, long after the pyramid builders. This raises several questions. Was the structure created as a symbolic tomb for Osiris, the god of the underworld, inspired by the ancient beliefs of underground burials at Giza? Or was this an earlier structure, possibly from the Old Kingdom, later expanded and reused by Egyptians of the late period? Zahi Hawass, a prominent Egyptologist, found hieroglyphic inscriptions in the chamber, including one symbol meaning house, which adds another layer to the mystery. The Giza plateau was known as Pusiye Neb Rasto, the house of Osiris, with Rasto meaning underground tunnels. The name itself suggests the existence of subterranean passages. Hawass concluded that the Osiris shaft was a symbolic tomb, constructed in the late period as a place of worship for Osiris. The island, the water, and the sarcophagus, he argued, all had ritual purposes. However, some researchers disagree with this interpretation. The precision of the cuts and the ambition of the design suggest that the chamber could have been built during the Old Kingdom, with later Egyptians merely modifying and expanding it. Another compelling factor in the debate is the role of water. The aquifer beneath Giza is not a modern development. It existed during the time of the pyramids. The ancient engineers would have been aware of this, as they would have encountered the water table while quarrying limestone. What if they deliberately incorporated this water into their designs? In Egyptian mythology, Osiris was killed by his brother Set, and his body was scattered across Egypt. His wife, Isis, reassembled him, allowing Osiris to become the ruler of the underworld. The Nile was associated with this myth, and its annual flooding symbolized the resurrection of Osiris, an underground chamber that flooded naturally, creating an island around a sarcophagus, could have served as a powerful representation of this myth. Death, rebirth, and eternal cycles. While we cannot definitively prove this theory, we can say with certainty that the Osiris shaft exists, and it matches the description Herodotus provided over 500 years ago. But what else might he have been right about? The Osiris shaft is not the only evidence of underground water systems at Giza. The entire plateau is riddled with wells, channels, and systems that remain unexplored. Some of these date back to the Old Kingdom, while others were created later. These water features may have been essential to the construction of the pyramids, with channels feeding from the Nile used to transport stone blocks. Hydraulic systems could have been used to lift heavy stones, and the entire site may have been designed as an integrated network of canals, channels, and reservoirs. However, most of these have long since dried up or been buried by sand. In 2008, a Belgian-Egyptian research team surveyed the area around the Pyramid of Hawara, south of Giza. This pyramid, built by Pharaoh Amenemhat II of the 12th dynasty, is much younger than the Great Pyramid. Ancient texts describe it as housing a labyrinth, a massive complex of chambers and passages that allegedly surpassed even the pyramids in grandeur. The team's radar survey detected a large underground structure consistent with these ancient descriptions. This could be the Lost Labyrinth, but excavation has not been permitted. The high water table and difficult access make exploration challenging. The mystery of this labyrinth remains unsolved. At Giza, underground structures are real. Ancient writers spoke of them, and modern technology has revealed their existence. Yet, full excavation of these structures remains rare, and access is often restricted. The Osiris shaft proved that the ancients knew things we have forgotten. It confirmed Herodotus's reliability and demonstrated that the underground world of Egypt holds secrets that have waited millennia to be discovered. What other secrets remain hidden in the darkness beneath the monuments? What other chambers, islands, or pools of water lie waiting to be uncovered? The mysteries of Giza continue to beckon, just beneath the surface. In the vast, untouched underground world, the pyramid above the ground is only part of the story. Beneath the surface, under the sand and limestone, another world exists. It is a world of darkness, water, and mystery ruled by Osiris, the god of the underworld. This subterranean realm remains largely unexplored. A hidden world we've only just begun to uncover. Chapter 4. The Big Void That Changed Everything. November 2. Liang Tenling Yishiti marked a pivotal moment in Egyptology, one that would forever alter our understanding of the Great Pyramid of Khufu. On this day, an international team of researchers, part of the Scan Pyramids project, announced a groundbreaking discovery. Using modern particle physics, they revealed a massive, empty space hidden deep inside the Great Pyramid, completely invisible to the naked eye and undetectable by traditional methods. This discovery was not made through conventional archaeological techniques, but through the revolutionary process of muon tomography. Muon tomography works by detecting subatomic particles known as muons, which are created when cosmic rays strike the upper atmosphere. These particles continuously rain down on Earth, passing through solid matter with ease, though some are absorbed by denser materials like stone. By placing detectors below solid structures and counting the muons coming from different directions, scientists can map the density of the material above. Less dense material allows more muons to pass through, creating a clearer picture of what lies beneath. This technique, first used in 1968 by Nobel Prize-winning physicist Luis Alvarez, had previously been applied to search for hidden rooms in the pyramids. But it wasn't until recent advancements in technology that it led to a truly remarkable discovery. In 2015, the Scan Pyramids team began using more sensitive muon detectors, along with improved analysis techniques. At the Great Pyramid, the results were staggering. They found a significant anomaly above the Grand Gallery, a void, measuring at least 30 meters in length, with a cross-section similar to that of the Grand Gallery itself, approximately 8 meters high and 2 meters wide. This void, the size of a commercial airplane, had remained hidden for over 500 years, only revealed by the cosmic ray particles. The discovery was published in Nature, one of the most prestigious scientific journals, and it sent shockwaves through the archaeological community. The reaction was immediate but divided. Some hailed it as the most important find at the Great Pyramid since the 19th century, given that no major internal structures had been discovered since 1837, when Howard Weiss uncovered the relieving chambers above the King's Chamber. Others, including renowned Egyptologist Zahi Hawass, were more skeptical, dismissing the discovery as meaningless. Hawass argued that such voids were not uncommon in pyramid construction and likely just empty spaces left between blocks. The debate continues, but the fact remains the void is real, and it was detected by 3 independent teams using 3 different muon detection methods, making its existence scientifically undeniable. The key question remains, what is this void? Is it a hidden chamber? Perhaps the final burial place of Pharaoh Khufu, long concealed beneath the pyramid? Or is it simply a construction gap, an architectural feature with no ritual significance? Some researchers have speculated that it might be a remnant of internal ramps used to move heavy blocks during construction. Once the pyramid was completed, these ramps might have been sealed, leaving behind an empty space. But the positioning of the void is far too deliberate to be purely accidental. It lies directly above the Grand Gallery, perfectly aligned with the pyramid's internal architecture. Why would the builders create such a specific gap for construction purposes? Japanese physicist Kunihiro Morishima, who led one of the detection teams, has called for further scanning from different angles to determine the void's exact shape. Could it be horizontal, like a corridor? Could it be inclined like the Grand Gallery below it? Could it be multiple voids? Or a single one? Current data cannot answer these questions with certainty. The void is sealed, there are no known passages leading to it. And if it is indeed a hidden chamber containing artifacts or the remains of Pharaoh Khufu, it has been sealed inside for over 4,000 years. Excavating this void would require drilling through the stone, potentially damaging the pyramid. This raises serious concerns. What if drilling destabilizes the pyramid? What if it damages something irreplaceable? What if the void turns out to be empty? These are the questions that continue to fuel the debate. Beyond the big void, the Scan Pyramids project has also made other discoveries that, though less sensational, may prove equally important. For example, the project detected several anomalies throughout the pyramid that have yet to be fully explored. These findings suggest that there are still many secrets hidden within the Great Pyramid, waiting to be uncovered. The technology used in these investigations is pushing the boundaries of what we know about the pyramid, allowing researchers to see through stone in ways that were previously thought impossible. While the void inside the Great Pyramid remains one of the most significant discoveries, it also highlights the limits of our current understanding. The technology may be advanced, but the mysteries it uncovers are often beyond our ability to fully comprehend. With each new discovery, the question remains, what lies beneath? We are still a long way from fully understanding the complexities of the pyramid and its hidden chambers. But as technology advances, more answers will emerge. And perhaps one day we will uncover the true secrets of the Great Pyramid. Hidden for millennia in the darkness beneath the stones, the search continues. What other chambers, voids, or passages remain concealed, waiting to be found? The mysteries of the Giza Plateau are far from solved. The pyramid has stood for over 500 years, and its secrets may take just as long to reveal. But with each new discovery, we inch closer to understanding the full scope of this ancient monument and the enigmatic civilization that built it. The journey is far from over, and the answers, as elusive as they may be, are waiting to be uncovered. In 2016, before the announcement of the Big Void, the Scan Pyramids team made another remarkable discovery. Situated behind the chevron structure on the north face of the Great Pyramid, just above the original entrance, the team detected another anomaly. The chevrons, massive limestone blocks arranged in an inverted V shape, are designed to distribute weight away from the passage below. However, behind these blocks, the muon data revealed an empty space. This discovery prompted further scanning, and in 2019, the team expanded their exploration into the descending corridor and a tunnel dug by Arab explorers in the 9th century. Over the years, the data accumulated, providing a clearer picture of what lay within. In March 2023, the Scan Pyramids team published their findings. The void behind the chevrons was not just an empty gap, as initially assumed. Instead, it was a deliberately constructed corridor roughly 9 meters long, 2 meters wide, and 2 meters high. Using a small camera inserted through a drill hole, the team captured images of the interior. The photographs revealed a corridor with a gabled ceiling, following the angle of the chevrons above. The walls were roughly finished, and the floor was clean with no visible artifacts. The passage appeared to have been sealed since the pyramid's completion. The question remains, what is this corridor for? And where does it lead? Some researchers suggest it may have been designed to relieve the weight of the original entrance passage below. The descending corridor runs at an angle through the pyramid, placing immense pressure on the stones above it. A void above the entrance would redistribute this pressure and prevent collapse. Others speculate that the corridor extends beyond the visible end and that there may be more to uncover. Perhaps even a hidden chamber. Zahi Hawass, despite his initial skepticism about the Big Void, expressed cautious interest in the corridor's discovery. It could potentially lead to something important. He acknowledged perhaps the true burial chamber of Pharaoh Khufu. If such a chamber exists apart from the known king's chamber, alternatively, it could be another construction feature, another dead end. and another mystery that raises more questions than it answers. This ongoing challenge in pyramid research reflects a frustrating reality. With technologies that can see through solid stone, researchers have detected voids that no one knew existed. But seeing is not the same as understanding. Detection is not the same as excavation. Despite knowing about the big void for 8 years, no one has entered it. The true nature of the void remains elusive, and no exploration plan satisfies both scientific curiosity and preservation concerns. Similarly, the corridor behind the chevrons has been imaged, but we still do not know where it leads. We do not know if it connects to other passages or if it has any significance. More anomalies continue to appear. In May 2024, Japanese and Egyptian researchers discovered an L-shaped structure buried in the Western Cemetery near the Great Pyramid. Ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography revealed a shallow structure filled with sand and a deeper anomaly beneath it, yet another void. Another mystery. The pattern repeats. Researchers detect, announce, speculate, and then wait. But the waiting cannot last forever. Technological advancements are pushing the boundaries of what we can detect and understand. The next generation of muon detectors will be more sensitive than anything used before. New imaging techniques will reveal even finer details. Someday, someone will drill into the big void. Someday, cameras will show us what lies inside. Someday, the questions that began in 2017 will finally have answers. But until then, the void waits. It has waited for 500 years. It can wait a little longer, but not forever. The cosmic rays continue to fall. Muons keep counting. Data accumulates. Somewhere inside the Great Pyramid, an empty space holds its secrets. Slowly, particle by particle, the truth emerges from the stone. Chapter 5. Herodotus and the Lost Labyrinth. Over 500 years ago, a Greek traveller named Herodotus visited Egypt, hailing from Halicarnassus. In modern-day Turkey, he was a curious man who asked questions and wrote down what he learned. His book, The Histories, became one of the foundational texts of Western civilization. During his time in Egypt, Herodotus marveled at the pyramids and recorded the stories told by Egyptian priests and local guides. He described things that scholars would dismiss as fantasy for more than 2,000 years. He spoke of underground chambers beneath the pyramids, water channels connecting to the Nile, and an island where the pharaoh was buried, surrounded by a moat. We have already seen how the discovery of the Osiris shaft confirmed part of this account. Indeed, an underground island surrounded by water does exist at Giza. Herodotus was not simply inventing stories, but Herodotus also described something even more extraordinary, something that, if it exists, would dwarf all other discoveries in Egyptian archaeology. He called it the labyrinth. According to Herodotus, the labyrinth was located south of the Giza Plateau, near a place called the City of Crocodiles. It was constructed by 12 Egyptian kings working together and was even more impressive than the pyramids themselves. Herodotus's description is worth quoting at length. Though paraphrased for modern understanding, the labyrinth contained 12 roofed courts with gates facing each other, 6 facing north and 6 facing south, all enclosed within a single outer wall. Inside, there were 2 kinds of chambers, one set above ground and one set below, totaling 3,000 chambers, with 500 of each kind. Herodotus claimed to have walked through the upper chambers himself, describing a complex, winding maze of passages through courts, galleries, and apartments, an endless complexity that filled him with awe. But the underground chambers were off-limits. The Egyptian priests told him that the lower chambers contained the tombs of the kings who built the labyrinth and the tombs of sacred crocodiles. They refused to let him descend, forbidding access to the lower levels. Herodotus was not the only ancient writer to describe this structure. Strabo, a Greek geographer who visited Egypt in the 1st century BC, also wrote about the labyrinth. He mentioned hidden chambers before the entrances, long passages twisting and turning, so complex that no outsider could find their way without a guide. Diodorus Siculus, another Greek historian, referred to the labyrinth as a work so ingeniously designed that it was impossible to replicate. Pliny the Elder, the Roman encyclopedist, described it as having paths so convoluted that they were impossible to navigate, filled with terrifying sounds of thunder, and requiring passage in total darkness. This labyrinth has remained one of Egypt's greatest mysteries. If it exists, it could be one of the most monumental discoveries in archaeological history. Yet, for now, it remains elusive. These descriptions, spanning 6 centuries from Herodotus in the 5th century BC to Pliny the Elder in the 1st century AD, agree on certain key points. The labyrinth was located near the entrance to the Fayum oasis, associated with a nearby pyramid, and contained multiple levels, upper chambers visible to visitors and lower chambers that were restricted. Its complexity was legendary. But where is the labyrinth today? For centuries, scholars assumed it had been destroyed. Egypt had been conquered multiple times by the Greeks, Romans, Persians, Arabs, and Ottomans. Each invasion left its mark on the ancient monuments. If the labyrinth ever existed, it must have been dismantled for its stone, leaving no trace. However, this assumption started to shift in the 19th century. In 1843, the Prussian Egyptologist Carl Richard Lepsius led an expedition to a site called Hawara, located south of the Giza Plateau, near the entrance to the Fayum oasis. There, Lepsius found the remains of brick structures. He proposed that these remains were the ruins of the labyrinth. This identification was controversial. The brick structures didn't align with the magnificent stone construction described by ancient writers. Some scholars suggested these were just the remains of a town built atop the labyrinth's foundations, while the true structure might lie below. In 1888, British Egyptologist Flinders Petrie conducted his own excavation at Hawara. Petrie, known for his meticulous and scientific approach, examined the area south of the pyramid and found evidence of large-scale destruction. The site had been quarried, stripped of its dressed stone, and reduced to rubble. Yet Petrie also found something else. He traced the outlines of a massive structure beneath the debris. His measurements indicated a building covering over 60,000 square meters, far larger than a small temple and far closer to the grand scale described by ancient texts. Petrie proposed a reconstruction based on his findings and the accounts of Herodotus and Strabo, suggesting that the labyrinth might have consisted of numerous columned halls surrounding an inner core, all enclosed by a colonnade. The upper chambers had been demolished, their stone repurposed for other structures, but the lower chambers, carved into the bedrock, might still exist. These lower chambers, which Herodotus claimed were used as tombs for kings and sacred crocodiles, were never fully excavated. Petrie's excavation was halted before the full extent of the labyrinth could be determined, primarily due to the high water table and the challenges posed by the site's difficult conditions. Fast forward to 2008, when a joint Belgian-Egyptian research team returned to Hawara with modern technology. Using ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography, they surveyed the area south of the pyramid of Amenemhat III, the same pyramid where Lepsius had earlier found traces of the labyrinth. The team's scans revealed evidence of a large underground structure. The radar detected multiple chambers arranged in a grid pattern with walls extending deep into the bedrock. This structure aligned with ancient descriptions in both scale and layout. The lost labyrinth of Egypt appeared to be real. However, despite the promising findings, the excavation never came to fruition. The Egyptian government did not authorize a dig. The site is located in agricultural land. The water table is high, and the logistics are challenging. The political situation in Egypt during the years following 2008 was tumultuous, and the labyrinth remained buried beneath the earth. The questions linger. Is the structure detected by radar really the labyrinth described by Herodotus, or is it something else? Could it be a later construction built on the same site? Do the underground chambers actually exist? Or did ancient quarrying destroy them along with the upper levels? While the labyrinth is not located at Giza, but over 100 kilometers to the south, its story is still intricately connected to the broader mystery of underground Egypt. The pattern repeats. Ancient writers describe subterranean chambers. Modern technology detects anomalies, but excavation remains delayed or prevented. The questions remain unanswered. Yet Herodotus continues to be proven right. He wrote about an underground island at Giza. The Osiris shaft confirmed this. He described underground chambers beneath the pyramids. Modern scanning has revealed voids and passages. He spoke of a labyrinth with 3,000 rooms, half above ground and half below. Ground-penetrating radar has found evidence of a large underground structure exactly where he said it would be. What else did he describe that we have yet to verify? Herodotus also wrote about underground channels connecting the Giza monuments to the Nile. Modern researchers have found evidence of ancient waterways leading to the plateau. Herodotus claimed the pyramids were part of a larger complex involving water management and underground construction. The hydraulic theory of pyramid building, which suggests water played a role in their construction, may have more accuracy than previously assumed. Herodotus has been called both the father of history and the father of lies. For centuries, scholars accepted the parts of his accounts that fit their theories and dismissed the more fantastic parts. Yet, those fantastic parts continue to turn out to be true. Perhaps it's time to listen more closely. The lost labyrinth of Hawara remains buried beneath the sand, detected but unexplored. Its upper chambers were destroyed long ago. But if the lower chambers exist, they may hold the secrets placed there over 3,800 years ago. The tombs of kings, sacred crocodiles, and 3,000 rooms filled with hieroglyphs and paintings, half of which lie below the earth, still waiting to be discovered. The upper half is gone, but the underground half remains to be found. Or does it somewhere beneath the farmland of the Fayum, below the water table and millennia of silt and debris? The labyrinth may still exist. The chambers Herodotus was forbidden to enter may still hold their secrets. The answers lie down there in the darkness, the water, and the stone. All we need to do is dig. But digging requires permission. Permission requires political will, which in turn requires stability, money, and priorities. And so, the labyrinth waits. Just as the big void in the Great Pyramid waits, the passage behind the chevrons waits, the L-shaped structure in the Western Cemetery waits, and the Osiris shaft remains partially flooded, its lowest chamber submerged again. The underground world of ancient Egypt does not give up its secrets easily, but eventually, it will. Herodotus wrote about these mysteries too. 500 years ago, we are still catching up. The island he described has been found. The labyrinth he described has been detected. What else waits to be discovered? What else did the ancient Egyptians build beneath the earth? What else have we forgotten? The answers are down there, waiting to be uncovered. We just have to keep looking. Chapter 6. The Italian Controversy and the Hidden City Claims, March 22. Liangchenling Arshawu, Cairo, Egypt. A press conference unlike any other in Egyptology's history. 1,000 delegates were gathered in person, while thousands more tuned in via live stream on YouTube. The presenters were an Italian-Scottish research team led by Professor Corrado Malanga from the University of Pisa, Filippo Biondi from the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow, explorer Armando May, and communications head Nicole Ciccolo. Their claim was nothing short of extraordinary. They said, using satellite-based synthetic aperture radar combined with artificial intelligence, They had detected a vast underground network beneath the Khafra pyramid at Giza. This wasn't just small chambers or modest tunnels. They claimed it was a hidden city. The details they presented were staggering: 8 massive cylindrical structures descending deep into the earth beneath the pyramid, with spiral pathways surrounding each cylinder like corkscrews burrowing through the bedrock. 5 identical multi-level structures near the pyramid's base, connected by geometric pathways, with channels resembling pipelines potentially designed for a water system. All of this extending more than 600 meters, about 2,000 feet below the surface, deeper than any known archaeological structure in Egypt and far beyond the limits of what radar technology had previously been thought to penetrate solid rock. The researchers suggested that the legendary Hall of Records, a purported library containing ancient wisdom described by mystics and alternative historians, could be within this underground complex. They presented images, data, and called for excavation to confirm their findings. They promised that, upon further magnification, they would reveal a true underground city lying beneath the pyramid. The reaction was immediate and fierce. Zahi Hawass, the former Minister of Antiquities, who had spent his career studying Giza, issued a scathing rebuttal. The claims, he argued, were nonsense. The technology couldn't do what the researchers claimed it could. The Egyptian government had not authorized their work, and the findings hadn't undergone peer review. The methods used were not validated. Professor Lawrence Conners, a ground-penetrating radar specialist from the University of Denver, expressed skepticism about the technology's ability to penetrate to such extreme depths. While current ground-penetrating radar can detect shallow features, its effectiveness diminishes dramatically beyond a few meters of solid geological formations. 0,000 feet was far beyond anything proven. The scientific community demanded peer review, questioning where the published paper was, where the methodology was, and where the data was that others could scrutinize. This was not the first time the team had made such claims. In October 2022, Biondi and Malanga had published a study in the journal Remote Sensing, claiming to have discovered new structures inside the Pyramid of Khafra using similar satellite imaging techniques. That paper had undergone peer review and was published, lending some validity to their techniques. But even then, critics raised concerns. The tomographic images in the 2022 paper did not match known structures inside the Great Pyramid, with some researchers suggesting the team had highlighted arbitrary areas and possibly misinterpreted noise as meaningful patterns. These findings had not been reproduced by other researchers. But the 2025 claims went much further. They described unprecedented structures at depths previously thought unreachable, suggesting a rewrite of Egyptian history, and promising the revelation of secrets hidden for millennia. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and the evidence provided did not meet that standard. The team's technique, which they called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography, is distinct from traditional ground-penetrating radar. Satellite-based synthetic aperture radar operates by sending radio waves to image the Earth's surface and subsurface, analyzing Doppler shifts in radar echoes caused by minute vibrations and movements in materials. This method has legitimate applications in volcano monitoring, nuclear site inspection, and structural analysis of buildings, but applying it to detect chambers 2,000 feet below the Giza Plateau pushes the technology far beyond its known capabilities. The rock is dense, and the sand absorbs energy conditions that make it hard to believe that satellite radar could detect structures at such depths. The team claimed they used data from Cosmos satellites and Capella space satellites, incorporating artificial intelligence to analyze the data and identify underground structures. While AI systems can recognize patterns, they can also hallucinate non-existent structures when interpreting ambiguous data. The risk of false positives increases, leading to questionable conclusions without thorough validation. Most Egyptologists dismissed the claims. The Egyptian government did not back the research. and no excavation was authorized. Yet, the controversy did not die. In June 2025, media reports emerged stating that the team had detected a second hidden city beneath Giza, more structures, more chambers, and more extraordinary claims. But still, without extraordinary evidence, the pattern repeated sensational announcements, widespread media coverage, scientific pushback, and no resolution. The question remains, does something lie beneath the pyramids that we have not yet discovered? Almost certainly, the big void discovered by scan pyramids proves that unknown spaces exist within the monuments. The Osiris shaft proves that elaborate underground chambers were built at Giza. The L-shaped structure found in the Western Cemetery proves that radar can detect buried features missed in earlier excavations. But the evidence for a vast underground city extending 2,000 feet below the Khafra pyramid, that evidence remains lacking. The technology used in these claims cannot reliably penetrate to such depths, and the findings have not been independently verified. The peer review process has not validated the methods. This is the reality of underground archaeology in the 21st century. While modern technology offers new ways to see beneath the surface, it can also deceive. Radar returns are ambiguous, and AI can lead to misinterpretations. Sensational claims spread faster than science can catch up. The Italian controversy highlights the potential and peril of modern archaeological imaging. The promise is that new technology may uncover what has been hidden beneath Giza for millennia, but the peril lies in the rush to sensationalize claims before confirming them through rigorous scientific processes. What was impossible yesterday may be possible tomorrow, but until then, we must tread carefully, ensuring that legitimate discoveries aren't clouded by premature announcements. When every few years brings a new claim of hidden chambers and underground cities, each announced with fanfare and each failing to produce concrete evidence, the public becomes cynical. The real discoveries get lost in the noise. The Scan Pyramids project spent years carefully collecting data before announcing the big void. They used multiple independent detection methods, published their findings in peer-reviewed journals, and acknowledged the limitations of their results. They did not claim to know what the void contained or what its purpose was. The Italian team, on the other hand, did the opposite. They announced extraordinary claims before undergoing peer review, speculated about legendary lost libraries, and described structures that no other researcher had detected using any other method. Which approach will lead to genuine understanding? The answer seems obvious, but it's the sensational claims that make headlines. The careful science gets buried in academic journals, and the truth, whatever it may be, remains hidden beneath the sand. The Giza Plateau has been studied for more than 2 centuries. Every generation thinks it has finally solved the mysteries, only to be proven wrong by subsequent discoveries. Perhaps the Italian team has detected something real. Perhaps their technology works in ways that mainstream science has not yet validated. Perhaps there really is a hidden city beneath the pyramids waiting to be found. Or perhaps they've misinterpreted noise as structure, wishful thinking as data, and ambition as evidence. Time will tell. But until their claims are independently verified, until other researchers replicate their findings using validated methods, and until peer review confirms their methodology, the hidden city remains exactly that, hidden, if it exists at all. The pyramids keep their secrets. They have kept them for 500 years and will not give them up easily, no matter how sophisticated our technology becomes, and perhaps that is as it should be. The greatest monument of the ancient world deserves mysteries worthy of its grandeur, but it also deserves science worthy of its importance, not press conferences, not YouTube live streams, and certainly not sensational claims without evidence. Science, patient, careful, rigorous science. That is how we will learn what truly lies beneath the pyramids if we have the patience to wait for it. Chapter 7. Clues from Space. Revealing Ancient Secrets. 14 billion years ago, the universe was born in an explosion of unimaginable violence. Matter and energy burst forth from a single point, expanding outward in all directions. Stars formed, galaxies coalesced, and heavy elements were forged in stellar cores before being scattered across space by supernova explosions. Some of those stars still burn today, far beyond our solar system and our galaxy. In distant regions of the cosmos, we can barely imagine. Some of these stars are dying violently, exploding with energies that dwarf anything on Earth. When they explode, they accelerate particles to speeds approaching the speed of light. These particles, called cosmic rays, stream through the universe in all directions, and some of them reach Earth. When a cosmic ray particle strikes the upper atmosphere, roughly 15 kilometers above the surface, it collides with atoms of nitrogen and oxygen. This collision produces a cascade of secondary particles, a shower of debris raining down through the atmosphere. Among these secondary particles are muons. A muon is like an electron but heavier. About 200 times heavier, it carries a negative electrical charge, moves at nearly the speed of light, and lives for only about 2 microseconds before decaying into other particles. Though brief, the muon can travel several kilometers, enough to reach the surface of the Earth and pass through buildings, mountains, and even pyramids. Muons interact weakly with matter and pass through most materials as though they weren't there, but not completely. Some muons are absorbed, and the denser the material, the more muons get stopped. This fact is the basis of muon tomography. By placing a detector beneath a solid structure, muons arriving from different directions can be counted. Regions with more muons reaching the detector are less dense, and areas where fewer muons arrive are denser. By accumulating data over time, an image of density variations can be created, allowing us to see through stone. Muon tomography was pioneered in the 1950 seconds and 60 seconds. In 1955, Australian physicist Eric George used muon detection to measure the overburden of rock above an underground tunnel. In 1968, American physicist Luis Alvarez, a Nobel Prize winner, applied the technique to the Pyramid of Khafra at Giza. Alvarez placed a muon detector in the chamber beneath the pyramid and counted the muons arriving through the monument above. He was looking for hidden chambers. If a secret room existed within the pyramid, fewer muons would be absorbed along the path through that room, and the detector would register an excess of muons from that direction. Alvarez found nothing. The pyramid appeared solid where he looked. There were no hidden chambers, no secret vaults. The muon data matched the known structure, but Alvarez had only looked at part of the pyramid. His detector was positioned in one location, viewing just one section of the monument. Other sections remained unexplored, and the technology of his time was primitive by modern standards. Detection efficiency was low, data accumulation was slow, and statistical significance was limited. Half a century later, everything changed. The Scan Pyramids project, launched in 2015, brought 21st century muon detection to the pyramids of Giza. 3 independent teams used 3 different technologies. The first team, from Nagoya University in Japan, used nuclear emulsion films. These are photographic materials sensitive to charged particles. When a muon passes through the film, it leaves a track that can be developed and analyzed. The second team, also from Japan, from the KEK High Energy Accelerator Research Organization, used scintillator hodoscopes. These active electronic detectors register the flashes of light produced when a muon passes through a scintillator, allowing for the reconstruction of the muon's direction. The third team, from the French Alternative Energies and Atomic Energy Commission, used gas detectors placed outside the pyramid, which detected the trails of charged particles when muons passed through the gas-filled chambers. All 3 teams found the same thing above the Grand Gallery. In a region where no chamber had been known to exist, there was an anomaly. Too many muons were getting through. suggesting something less dense than the surrounding stone. The big void, the statistical significance was overwhelming, and the probability of a false positive was negligible. 3 independent methods, analyzed by 3 independent teams, all pointed to the same conclusion. There was empty space inside the Great Pyramid where no empty space had been known to exist. This discovery was announced in November 2017 inches, the journal Nature. For the first time since the 19th century, a major new internal structure had been found within the most famous monument on Earth. However, finding something is not the same as understanding it. Chapter 8. The Hall of Records and the Mystics. In 1933, a man lay on a couch in Virginia Beach, Virginia. His eyes were closed, his breathing steady, yet he spoke. His name was Edgar Cayce, often called the Sleeping Prophet by his followers. While in a trance-like state, Cayce made claims that no one could verify with conventional methods. Among his revelations was a story about Atlantis, an advanced civilization that supposedly sank beneath the ocean around 12,000 years ago. He claimed that survivors of this lost civilization had fled to Egypt, bringing with them their advanced knowledge. These refugees supposedly built the Great Sphinx and the pyramids, and they concealed their wisdom in a secret chamber beneath the Giza Plateau. He called it the Hall of Records. According to Cayce, the Hall of Records was a chamber hidden beneath the Sphinx, connected by a passage to the Great Pyramid. This chamber, he said, held ancient knowledge about Atlantean history, science, and spirituality, and it would eventually be discovered. Cayce even predicted its discovery in 1998. The prophecy electrified some groups, those who believed in lost civilizations and ancient secrets hidden from mainstream archaeology. They were drawn to the idea that the past held transformative wisdom, just waiting to be uncovered. However, 1,998 came and went, and the Hall of Records remained elusive. The passage beneath the Sphinx was never found, and no ancient wisdom from Atlantis surfaced. Yet the idea of the Hall of Records did not die. It became one of the most enduring legends in alternative Egyptology. Numerous books and documentaries followed, along with expeditions dedicated to discovering this hidden repository of knowledge. Meanwhile, mainstream archaeologists dismissed Cayce's claims. They noted that he was not a scientist and had no training in Egyptology. His accounts, based on trance states, could not be verified or replicated. Furthermore, his theories about Atlantis contradicted known facts in geology, archaeology, and human history. Atlantis, according to Plato, was a literary device used to warn against the dangers of powerful civilizations, and there was no evidence to support the existence of such a civilization. 12,000 years ago. Despite the lack of physical evidence, the search for the Hall of Records did prompt real archaeological investigations at Giza. In 1978, the Association for Research and Enlightenment, ARE, an organization dedicated to promoting Cayce's teachings, worked with the SRRI International to conduct ground-penetrating radar surveys beneath the Sphinx. They found anomalies, but only natural fissures in the rock. In 1991, geologist Robert Schoch, at the invitation of independent Egyptologist John Anthony West, conducted a geological survey of the Sphinx. Schoch's research suggested that the erosion patterns on the Sphinx's enclosure walls could have been caused by water, possibly from rainfall that occurred much earlier than previously thought. This led to the Sphinx water erosion hypothesis, which proposed that the Sphinx could be 7,000 years old, predating the dynastic Egyptians by thousands of years. This idea, however, remains controversial and is largely rejected by Egyptologists, who argue that other weathering processes, such as salt weathering, could explain the erosion. Regardless, the theory sparked further interest in the age and origins of the Giza monuments. In the 1,000 990 seconds. These ideas began to converge. The search for the Hall of Records, the Sphinx water erosion hypothesis, and the increasing public fascination with ancient mysteries, fueled by books and TV documentaries, created a perfect storm of speculation. Authors like Graham Hancock and Robert Bovell proposed the Orion correlation theory, which suggested that the three pyramids of Giza aligned with the three stars of Orion's belt, a configuration that purportedly mirrored the heavens as they appeared around 10 BC. This was the same time frame that Casey had predicted for the construction of the Sphinx and the Hall of Records by survivors of Atlantis. Although these theories were speculative, with astronomical alignments being imprecise and the dates conflicting with established archaeological evidence, the books became bestsellers, and documentaries attracted large audiences. The public wanted to believe, the ideas were captivating, and the allure of lost knowledge was irresistible. Then, in 1999, came the discovery of the Osiris shaft, a remarkable find that seemed to validate some of these alternative theories. The Osiris shaft, located near the pyramids, contained a chamber surrounded by water, which further fueled the idea of hidden chambers and underground secrets beneath the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid. Some suggested that this shaft might lead to the Hall of Records, or at least provide clues about the lost civilization Casey spoke of. Yet, as with many of the claims surrounding Giza, questions remain unanswered. The search for the Hall of Records continues to captivate imaginations, even as mainstream archaeology remains skeptical. What if Casey's visions were based on something more than fantasy? What if the ancient Egyptians, or some other lost civilization, truly hid a library of knowledge beneath the sands? The mystery of the Hall of Records, like the pyramids themselves, remains unsolved. A tantalizing enigma just out of reach, waiting for the right combination of science, technology, and patience to reveal its secrets. Chapter 9. Tunnels of the Gods or Tunnels of Men. The question that continues to haunt the exploration of the underground world beneath the pyramids of Giza is this: who built these hidden structures? The conventional answer is simple: the ancient Egyptians themselves. The same people who constructed the pyramids, carved the Sphinx, and established one of the most remarkable civilizations in history. They had the necessary knowledge, resources, and workforce to build such elaborate underground chambers. Evidence supports this answer. Artifacts found in places like the Osiris shaft align with well-known periods of Egyptian history, with Egyptian pottery, sarcophagi, and hieroglyphic inscriptions matching the styles and techniques used by the Egyptians. But beneath this seemingly straightforward explanation lies a set of anomalies that do not fit neatly into the established narrative. These discrepancies raise questions about the true origins and purpose of the underground chambers beneath the Giza Plateau, suggesting that the story may be far more complicated than is commonly accepted. Take the subterranean chamber beneath the Great Pyramid. For example, the conventional explanation is that this chamber was abandoned during construction when Pharaoh Khufu, the builder of the Great Pyramid, changed his burial plans. Workers simply stopped working, and the chamber was left unfinished. However, this explanation doesn't fully account for the design of the chamber. The ceiling is finished, smooth and level. The walls are cleanly cut. The floor is rough. But even that roughness appears to have been deliberately sculpted, rather than left as a hasty afterthought. The two mounds, the trench between them, the pit, and the dead-end passage, all of these features appear intentionally designed, not the result of an abandoned project. This raises the possibility that the chamber wasn't abandoned in haste, but rather built with a specific, deliberate purpose in mind. Was it unfinished, or was it a designed feature that simply didn't fit within the pharaoh's ultimate burial plans? Now, consider the Osiris shaft. The artifacts found at its lowest level date back to roughly 500 BC, which places it long after the Great Pyramid was constructed. However, Some researchers argue that the shaft's construction technique is inconsistent with typical late-period Egyptian work. The precision with which the shaft was cut, the depth of the excavation, and the sheer ambition of carving such a structure through solid limestone raise the question, could this shaft be far older than the artifacts found within it? It's possible that the core structure of the Osiris shaft was built by an earlier civilization, perhaps even contemporaneous with the construction of the pyramids, and that later Egyptians simply reused and expanded upon the existing structure. This is speculative, but it's worth considering. In fact, it raises a broader question about the underground structures at Giza. Is there an ancient underground network that we have yet to fully explore? While some tunnels and shafts have been documented, others remain unexplored, and the relationships between these features are poorly understood. Medieval Arab writers spoke of tunnels connecting the three major pyramids, but modern archaeological investigations have yet to find concrete evidence to support these claims. The question remains, has anyone truly mapped out the entire underground network beneath Giza using modern imaging technology? The answer is no. Although partial surveys have been conducted and individual features have been explored, a comprehensive map of the underground structures beneath the plateau does not exist. What could such a map reveal? We don't know. The truth is, there's much about Giza's underground world that remains a mystery. What's more, there's the added element of water to consider. The ancient Egyptians understood the role of water in their civilization. They built irrigation systems, canals, and reservoirs, and they were keenly aware of the annual flooding of the Nile. Water played a central role in their lives, and it's likely that it played an equally important role in the construction of the pyramids and the underground chambers at Giza. The water table beneath Giza sits only 20 to 30 meters below the surface, feeding into underground chambers. The Osiris shaft floods naturally with the rise of the water table, and it's been suggested that the subterranean chamber beneath the Great Pyramid may have been intentionally designed to flood as well. Recent research has even suggested that water played a more significant role in the pyramid construction than was previously thought. Could water have been integral to the design of Giza's underground structures? Were these chambers, perhaps, built not only as symbolic or ritual spaces, but also as part of an advanced, purposeful water management system? These questions and possibilities make the underground world of Giza more complex than we initially believed. It's possible that the Egyptians built these subterranean chambers for purposes that remain hidden from us, purposes we have yet to uncover. The pyramids and their underground structures are not just the remains of a remarkable civilization, they are part of a much larger and more enigmatic system, one that we may still be on the brink of understanding. The mysteries of Giza continue to resist easy answers. But the more we explore, the closer we come to piecing together the incredible puzzle of this ancient place. Chapter 10. What still lies hidden? We have journeyed deep beneath the Giza plateau, exploring the subterranean chamber and its unfinished floor, tracing the enigmatic Osiris shaft to its water-surrounded island, peering into the big void inside the Great Pyramid using muon tomography, and following the path to the lost labyrinth of Herodotus beneath the sands of Hara. Yet, we must now ask the final question. What still lies hidden? The honest answer is that we do not know. This uncertainty, however, is perhaps the most profound discovery of all. Despite over 2 centuries of systematic archaeology, advanced technologies like ground-penetrating radar, muon tomography, satellite imaging, and artificial intelligence, and countless excavations and studies of tombs, temples, and hieroglyphics, there is still much we do not understand about what lies beneath the pyramids. We know for certain that chambers exist. Some have been found. Others have been detected by advanced imaging techniques. And it is highly likely that more remain undiscovered. We are aware that tunnels wind beneath the plateau. Some have been explored, while others end in blank walls that might conceal further passages. Still, others have been identified through technology but have never been entered. One thing is clear, the role of water beneath the plateau is critical. but its full significance is not yet understood. The aquifer below feeds into these underground chambers, and water appears to play a key role in some of the ritual spaces. But how the Egyptians integrated it into their monuments and what symbolic purposes it served remain mysteries. What specifically might still lie hidden below the surface? Let's consider the possibilities. The big void inside the Great Pyramid remains unexplored. The Scan Pyramids team detected this anomaly using muon tomography, but its exact shape and purpose remain unclear. It could be a deliberately constructed chamber with potential artifacts or remains inside, or it could simply be a construction gap, left intentionally for structural purposes. The truth is, we don't know. The Egyptian authorities have been cautious about granting permission for invasive exploration. Any effort to investigate this void would require drilling through the ancient stone, and the risks of damaging such an irreplaceable monument must be carefully weighed against the potential for new discoveries. But one thing is certain: someone, at some point, will eventually peer into the void. Whether that moment happens in the near future or decades from now, the technology exists, and the curiosity is there. The question is not if we will look, but when. What will we find? Perhaps nothing, just empty stone and stale air. Or perhaps something extraordinary, a hidden burial chamber. Artifacts sealed since the reign of Khufu. Inscriptions that might finally answer the questions we have pondered for centuries. We cannot know until we explore, but this uncertainty fuels our drive to search, to keep asking questions, to keep pushing for answers. The Giza Plateau continues to guard its secrets, but it does not shut them away forever. With each technological advancement, with each new discovery, we come closer to understanding what lies beneath. As we continue our quest for knowledge, we must remember that it's not just the monuments above ground that hold the answers, it's also the secrets hidden below, waiting to be uncovered by patient, careful research. So, we continue to look, to ask, and to learn. The pyramids have waited for 500 years for us to understand them, and they can wait a little longer. The mysteries beneath them are still being solved, one step at a time, one discovery at a time. The truth is there, waiting for us to find it. What lies beneath? The quest to understand the Giza Plateau and the ancient structures that reside beneath it is far from over. Each discovery adds a layer of mystery, and each unanswered question drives us further into the depths of the past. With the advancement of technology, more is being revealed, but many of the secrets of the pyramids and their subterranean world remain just out of reach. The search for truth, however, continues generation by generation. As we stand at the crossroads of modern archaeology and ancient history, we are reminded that the pyramids are not just monuments to the past. They are living, breathing symbols of human curiosity and the drive to understand our origins. We have made significant strides, but the deeper we go, the more we realize how much there is still to discover. The future of archaeology holds endless possibilities. As new technologies emerge, we will gain access to more of the world that lies beneath the surface. Will we uncover the true burial chamber of Khufu? Will we map out the network of tunnels beneath the pyramids? Only time will tell, but the pursuit will continue, fueled by our need to learn and uncover the truths that remain hidden. The pyramids, silent and eternal, will watch us as we dig, scan, and question, slowly revealing their secrets, some, but not all. The search will not end. It cannot, because the truth is not just buried beneath stone, it is buried within us, the drive to understand, to explore, and to connect with the past. As long as there are questions left to answer, we will keep searching. The pyramids wait, and we will keep looking. Thank you for joining this exploration of the mysteries beneath the pyramids. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more investigations. Share your thoughts in the comments. What do you believe lies hidden beneath Giza? What ancient site should we explore next? The Valley of the Kings, the tunnels beneath the temples of Karnak, or the mysterious shafts of Sakura. These places hold stories from the past, waiting for the future to listen. The past speaks to us. Let us listen.